Hey everyone, we got HackerMan going in the background here. We'll reset it here. We'll see who's joining into the online office hours. Joining in right here. Who's joined up? Video details. Stand to on. Online office hours. Oh, I'm just clicking around everywhere. Live streaming, here we go. Make sure MuBot's awake. There I am on the screen. Maybe send out some announcements here. We'll get some more people in here. We could do some of the homework, some of the quiz. We already did the homework. We need to pull up this chat. And we'll go to live chat, pop out. Show music play. There we go. Pull up some MyPearson. Son. Anybody in the chat right now? Hey, Daryl, what do you want to work on? Daryl, good to see you. Let's try you some 5,000 points. What do you want to work on, Daryl? Some Canvas content, some of the quizzes. I'm loading up the quizzes right now. We can do Canvas content too. My hair is looking all crazy. Hey, Dee Dee, good to see you there. I'm trying to wake up. Gotta wake up. Let's do the quiz. Getting in-person office hours today in an hour. Hey, we're doing sampling distributions. Good morning. It's afternoon. It's 11:45, but man, I feel tired. And then MuBot saying good morning in the chat right there. I'm feeling tired. It was doing a thing called Diet Bet, and I won it. Happy April 1st. Speaking of, we got a special message here. One moment.
Hi everyone, April here. Just wanted to say happy Halloween, go balls, and maximum effort, test 3.
I don't even know. I don't even get it. I meant to do that during class and I forgot. I forget what I've got. I was live. Deadpool just arrived. That wasn't pre-recorded. It's time for me. Yes. Actually, we need to do that first. We talked about it yesterday in class. Let's do the 320. Thank you right there, Rob. Let's do the 320 walkthrough. And then we will do 201. So, Daryl, we will do this because I forgot. People in class were like, can you do a walkthrough? You got it. Okay. BAS 320. And this is assignment walkthrough. Let's talk about it. Let me pull up our studio. We'll do that. You're welcome. Hang out, ask some questions. And then, Daryl, we're going to start on the quiz. Tell me some quiz questions you want me to do, Daryl, and we'll do that. I need to put the timestamp on here for the assignment walkthrough. This will be at the 4:23 mark. And let's go here to a new sheet, and let's jump into it. Okay, so we need the 320 assignment. And it looks like a long assignment, but it's very thorough. So when you look at the assignment, you'll be like, what in the world are we doing? This is way too much work. And like, it's very thorough. So here's the assignment right here. And you need to get your data from Kaggle to start. Kaggle is a competition website where you can go get different data sets. It's really awesome. Don't lie. So you can grab all your data right there and follow the step-by-step walkthrough on what is required. So the first thing you want to do is you want to summarize your data. Now, I'm not getting the data from Kaggle right now, but if you're summarizing data, you could pull up and don't use data survey 10. Do not use data already in R. Do not do that. To summarize data, usually what we want to do is load up libraries like dplyr, not gplyr, dplyr, which allows for data manipulation. And also we're going to load up ggplot2. You can't really use plotly. You kind of can, but you got to watch how you knit things. And we could load up library flex table. Now, don't do exactly what I'm doing. These are just options. And then we want to use a little ChatGPT to raise the level on this. So if you have a data set, like let's use, you cannot, this data. So right here, you do not want to use these datas that I'm using. We're going to use data. What is BS320? Data, regression analytics. Regression analytics. So this is what is called RStudio, and it uses R, which is a programming language, and I'm loading up libraries. Libraries allow us to get access to additional things, and I've just loaded in a data set. So I've loaded in survey 10, which is a survey of students found in the year 2010, and we can actually glimpse it to see what's going on with the data. So notice here we have a bunch of quantitative data, we have a bunch of categorical data. So all this right here. Thank you so much. We'll throw you some points there, Daryl, for asking what this is. I don't see the assignment. The assignment should be in the background right here. We were having it up just a moment ago. You can see the assignment right here where it says find an interesting data set. So you need to do that first if you're doing this assignment. Then provide a short summary, 3 to 5 sentences, explaining the purpose of the data, what some of the key variables are, and any relevant details. So this is just like knowing your data. So you think about what this says right here, you go 3 to 5 sentences. You say like, hey, this data set's this. It's got these variables and it's trying to analyze this. Like what are some important variables in it? Any relevant details that you think are important about the data that you've already found. And when we summarize it, we're just talking about what the data is. Oh, this one's not for you. This one's only for 320. This is not a 201 assignment. So this is 320 only right here. Next, you see visualizing your data, and the points are clearly listed out. Next, when you visualize your data, no worries, Daryl's like, wait, what? So create 2 visualizations. It can be histograms, scatter plots, box plots, density plots, all that good stuff. And they need to be clearly and well labeled. So you do not want to do something like this right here. This is not a really amazing graphic. It's so easy to take this, and I'll show you what we do. Because, man, it's easy to make good graphics now. So I'm going to say, grab this. Take this code and turn it into the most amazing ggplot to ever. It needs to have a proper title, and my teacher should give me, I want her to. This means you need to be amazing. Yeah, and Rob right there. Thank you so much. You're totally right. It'll seem daunting, and then you're like, I'm getting it. I get what's going on. So you see it's adding in the labels. It's adding in a subtitle. We could change these. Really good. It's adding in a theme. It's using the minimum theme. It's adding in the plot title element. That's going to make it bold. This is how just the text is controlled. Yeah, I know the coding parts are not actually the hardest part, especially with ChatGPT. You just have to know your basic codes and then to know what to ask for. And if you know your basic codes and what to ask for, you can change your graphics into something. Yeah, and you have like 300 lines of code, and you're like, wow, coding's a lot easier. And we'll change that subtitle right there to say understanding. It's whatever you want to say. You know, you just do whatever you want. You can add emojis and stuff on it too, which is kind of cool. But this is a much better, this is a density plot in the background. If you don't like the density plot, like let's say you don't like it, you just go over here to where the density plot is. And we're going to go to this density plot right here and just, you can put a hashtag. That's a really good way to remove it. And now the density plot is removed. Or if you don't like the histogram, you can go to the histogram, just put a hashtag there and just get the density plot. Preferably, I would probably do that. That's what you want. Maybe you want both. There you go. And don't do exactly what I'm doing. Make your own prompts. Figure out what you want to do. You can see the bimodality to this distribution. That's the thing. Yeah. As long as students credit it. Didi, thank you for asking. Yeah, Didi, really great coder knowledge and great at mathematics right there in the chat. As long as they credit it, they're allowed to do it. And you'd be shocked because you'd think, well, with ChatGPT, you can do anything. But if you don't know how to like talk to it, if you don't understand like how to prompt it to say like use this package, if you just say make a histogram in R, like here I'll put up a thing and say like we'll pretend we don't know how to prompt it, like we have no coding knowledge. So we'll go to a new chat here, and we will say I have a data set, or make me a histogram in R. It's actually using ggplot too. Now it's using random data right here. Yeah, exactly. We also want to use it to learn. So if you look at what it gave us right here, you would have to know to change the data to the data and the x to your x variable, which is in the data frame. It created a data frame of random normal values. This is the values, which is the x vector in the data frame. But I always tell my students to write out the basic code. If you look at what we did previously, the best prompts I've ever made when I'm doing prompts is you take, where is it? Those are yesterday's. Where's my current chat? No. did I lose my chat to? Well, darn it. We'll start another new chat. Okay. The best prompts I find are where you give it some of your code so it knows the structure. Another really good thing. Yeah. Exactly. We do what the AI sandwich where we do like human, AI, human. So the human needs to know how to prompt it. The AI evaluates it, and the human needs to know how to evaluate the prompts. We were actually doing this with some Mario Kart data, and it said like all people got the max coins, and I was like, that's not right. Like it's wrong. I had some really crazy conversations with AI where like there's a trick I've lost some of my tricks with AI, but you can make it analyze. I like knowing where the AI's boundaries are and what it can and can't do. Not anything like bad, but like where it's the guardrails are. It's pretty interesting because it's changing all the time. And my job, and actually my PhD, is going to be in understanding AI and its influence in the social media, and especially how people trust in AI. So I really have to use AI a lot to understand what's going on with it. So we visualize our data, we make really beautiful graphics right here, we label it properly, and it gives us tons of code for basically free. Create a new variable and run a multiple regression model. Now, the point of this is when you create a new variable right here, you need to be able to explain what that variable is. You need to say to someone, why are you doing this? So we go right here to talk about the new variable. Really great function we can run is the glimpse function to let us see the data. Do not just print this to the screen. Let's say we want to figure out an attractiveness to how dateable people find people to be. So imagine you have somebody and you want to figure out like how much more dateable they find people than they find themselves their own attractiveness. I think it's and so I'm most confused on task 3. I did an interaction of 2 quantitative variables, but I'm not sure where it's supposed to be. I'll look. Task 3 right here. Well, so yeah, task 3, let's double check task 3 right here. Task 3 says create a new variable based on existing ones, ratio, differences, interactions, transformations. I usually don't do an interaction new variable. Here, I'll show you what I'll do. As long as you do the following, you go survey 10, you go to your data, and you say ratio. Everyone's going to say ratio for the variable now. Like every time I do something, everyone does like the exact same. They're like, no, do something different. Because you can create any variable you want. Ratio of dateable to attract. So what we do is we go right here, we go survey 10, $, and it's dateable. Where's it? Percent dateable divided by survey 10, own attractiveness. And that creates the new variable. That new variable goes where now? Who knows where that variable goes? It goes very right where. That new variable we created goes where? Because you think about this, if someone's like, I find all of UT dateable and I rate myself a 20 attractive, we're going to get a 5 for this. So it's a ratio of the two numbers showing what percent of UT they think is dateable and then what percent they think their own attractiveness is out of 100. So a high number would mean they find UT way dateable than their own attractiveness, own rating, of course. But where's that new variable go? Goes on the very end of the data frame. You can use the mutate for this too. If you're doing the dplyr method, you can mutate it. Nothing wrong. I just do the classic way sometimes because I was trained on the classic ways. Let me say this. Watch this. It'll be mutate. We need to go back to ChatGPT. Show me how to do this with dplyr. And it's going to use mutate. There it is, mutate. And you just store the new variable, and then it's storing the data frame over itself again. So the mutate function is really good, but I'm just used to the classic way of doing it, where you store into survey 10 by piping survey 10 into the mutate, which is going to store the new variable, ratio, dateable, attract, taking the two variables right there. Yeah, you could create an interaction variable. You can also run the interaction you can add an interaction to the model. Usually when we create interactions, which you can do a new variable that is the interaction between two variables, you could store the new variable by multiplying and do that. That's not kind of that just creates only the interaction term, which is also a created variable, technically speaking. And you could do interactions other ways by including them, by letting the model create them. But yeah, works. Yep. And create a new variable to explanation, running the regression model correctly. Fit a multiple regression model using your new variable. So an important thing right here, if we want to predict maybe we want to predict somebody's how attractive they think they are than other people. Percent more attractive than. And we're going to use the new variable, and we're going to use somebody's gender. Data equals survey 10, and then we run our model, and we visualize our model. Figure too large margins. Oh, we just have like an outlier making it. That person really wants... Wow, that's a huge outlier. That's a male who's like, I'll date anybody, but I don't think I'm attractive. Because their ratio is like 25, so they must have said 4% and 100. If we look at that huge outlier right there, which probably means, if we look at our influence plot, yeah, one of those is probably... We also talked about the cars library, which is going to give you better influence, or the car library with the influence plot from here, from the car library. And there it is. It's probably 589. And we could isolate 589 in survey 10 to see if it is that male. Survey 10, 589. And there it is. And ratio, yes, 59. Oh, no, there's someone even off the charts here. How are we not seeing them? Petrie's graphic, I hate that it does that. Row 7. No, let's go row 7. Ratio. Meh. For our variables, do we use the ones that we want to use, or is it to create new variables for the separate ones that you'll use? You can use ones you want to use, but you should use the created variables too. You need to know how to analyze this graphic on the screen here, which is an influence plot showing you which points have the greatest influence on your model. It looks to me like there are 2 major points. It does identify a few others, but row 589 and row 7 are the 2 most major. And there's 589 with its huge influence right there, and there's row 7. These 2 other ones I would not include in the output. It is, you could actually reduce that output if you go here to output and go to influence plot and throw your model in, and then go to output $. It should have it in the list, the leverage list. Oh, ooh. Oh, it's only those 2 points? Oh, because this is the one from the wrong package. Too many packages with this. And here we go there. Let's go to the Cook's distance. Well, I wish it reported the... Oh, there we go. And if you report only rows 1 and 4 here, we can get that. And what we want to do now, watch this. And I'm going to show 2 more things here, and then we will... I think that'll help enough for the assignment, because I don't want to do it all. What you want to do with this, once again, is bring this over to ChatGPT and say, the following is a table, but it doesn't look beautiful. Use flex table to make this look amazing with bolding, colors, and awesomeness. Okay. So flex table right here allows us to make things look really good. It's going to pipe it through a flex table. It's using theme vanilla, which is the basic theme. It's using all this. It might not know everything. It might get the wrong size of borders. But let's drop this in right here. We know we've got a table, and we know we want to use the flex table package. And it's really mad about not implemented. We'll just throw this error in really quick. Fix this error. What do you think, Didi and Narav, Aditya? What do you think? What are people's thoughts? Oh, it's saying output. Oh, it's numeric. We're going to have to run some pre-code right here. What? I might have to do this myself. So let's cut the pipe here. That worked. Where's my flex table? Where's my flex table? Oh, maybe I broke the table. No? Viewer? Where's my flex table? That's where it breaks, or it breaks right before this. Oh, because it's being stored. That's good enough. It breaks on the next one on this code, so let's remove that. FP border. Is that an officer? It is. Gosh, I've learned too much. There we go. Does that make sense? This is a nice little table right here. And you could easily throw this into your report. to show you, it's miscalculated, I think, because when we change the output, this code, I think, is breaking it. So let's restore it. And it doesn't have the row names, which is bad. We could tell it. So row names. So what we want to do here is row number. And we'll store into here row number. Row numbers are going to be stored in as 7 and 589. The other ones don't matter because we're not using them. I don't care for them. And then when we return this, we return the columns in orders 4, 1, 2, 3. And now we run it, and there we go. Did anyone follow what I did? I added so this is where Didi, we'll write some of this on our own. But we could always ask ChatGPT, but you have to think, what am I doing? On line 52, I created a new vector in output. The new vector I created is the row number. Now, the only two I really cared for were this one and this one. So I didn't even look what the other ones were because I was going to not use them. When I did my table reporting, I reported the columns in the order column 4, column 1, column 2, column 3. Specifically, we might want to only look at the influence it has. So we could just run it like this and look at this only here. The other things are all right. So you could do whatever you want. Yeah, who thinks they follow this? Like, I'm just doing the order by which I want the columns reported, because this thing over here is the column space and this is the row space. So you could report all your output like this for showing it. How's 320 doing on this? This is the point, to make really awesome looking output. We could also go right here and say round all values to 2 decimals. I always forget that. Or we could just do it over here. So in our table, you're following, nice job, Narav. If you go to output, we might be able to do this. Round output to 4 decimals. It did it. And then we store this over output. And there we go. So I just did that outside of the flex table because sometimes I get a little bit confused on how to use flex table, and I'm trying to not use ChatGPT as much. But you can see these numbers, like the Cook's distance, which is the measure of influence, the studentized residual, which is how far it is away from the model in terms of t-scores, and the hats, which is the measure of leverage. And the whole point of all this is that we are analyzing an influence plot back here, showing us the high leverage these 2 points have and their positive and negative studentized residuals, which is how far the model misses by. I'm trying to think what else to talk about just briefly here, because we're not going to do the full assignment, but hopefully showing you some tips and tricks for this. And so a little ChatGPT never hurt. A little bit. Little bits. Extrapolation check. Actually, this is exactly where I want to get to and exactly where I want to stop. So on the Discord right now, and I should post this also. So on the Discord, we have a message here. I've got it pulled up. I'm going to grab the code. I don't think many people have seen it. So we have the code and we've copied it. So what you want to do is you want to drop in the code and run it, and it creates a custom function down here. So now with the custom function created in your 107th untitled document, you can do extrapolation check 2 on your model. Notice it's stored in the global environment. So when you run extrapolation check, you have to put in your model, but you have to have data to check to see if you're extrapolating on it. To do this, we do data frame store into data.frame. Now, what we have right here is we create a data frame of the x's in the model. So if you remember from previously, our x's in the model, we'll grab the model and bring it down here. The x's in the model are the following. So we have to create a vector of possible values for these. So I'm taking both vectors and putting them in here. Now we can get an idea of what's going on. We'll do 3 individuals. We could do male, female, and we'll go female again. And then ratio attractive. Now we want to see the scale of ratio attractive by doing range of survey 10, ratio attractive, and it's, I didn't do the variable. And it ranges from 0 to about 60. So let's go here and do 0, 20, and 70. And now we do extrapolation check. New data equals data frame, and there's the answer. Ooh, we're extrapolating on everybody? That's weird. That's weird. Oh man, let me look at the summary of it. Let me look at a hist of it. And I want to zoom in on that. It actually looks like maybe we need to go to like 1. Ooh, that's in the range. Let's look at the... Yeah, it's centered around there. What language is this? This is R code. This is R code. So this data looks to be very, very compact. If you look at the Q1, Q3, it's compact around 0.1 to 0.5. So if I put in here a value like 0.4, it's probably going to give a very low extrapolation check now. Ooh, it's actually higher. We should, the median. I think we need to be towards the median. Let me do that. Let me put in that. Ooh, let's go towards the median. Maybe we should change this person to female. Let's see. Oh, is it mad? What did it get mad on? Oh, do you have to put in male? Why would it be mad about that? That's weird. Huh. It makes you enter in both levels. Interesting. Well, that's something we'd have to fix, but it works, and it tells us that the point right there, the first person is not an extrapolation, the second person is, and the third person is, and we would be extrapolating to use our model. How is this looking, Narav, and does this make sense? This code is currently posted to the Discord, and you can get this amazing table right here, which is another flex table, and you can drop this into your report and have a really good thing telling you whether each person, the predictions required extrapolation. And so that's kind of what we're looking for, is really good output like this, and then knowing what this output means. That if you were predicting on the first person, you'd be like, well, I'd kind of trust these predictions because it's not really extrapolating that far from the model. But that third person is a huge extrapolation. We don't have any data around there. It's beyond the 100th percentile of the range of our x's. So these values on the screen represent the percentile compared to, it says training data. Yeah, I guess so. What made the model, that is technically correct. I would just say compared to the range of our x's, which is the training data we trained the model on. It's a little more BAS 474 talk because sometimes ChatGPT uses higher things. We basically gave ChatGPT the original code and asked it to make it better. And so this is our extrapolation check 2, which works even better for the variables. And it looks to be a small issue where if you don't put in enough categorical levels, yeah. And this DF right here are the people we're predicting on. Person 1 only finds a ratio of 0.7 dateable. Like that's the ratio of how dateable UT is to their attractiveness. And they are a male. Person 2, 20, male, ratio 20, and 70. And I think that's pretty good. I hope this helps people. I don't want to do everything, but that should give you some tips and tricks. Run an influence plot, we talked about that. Regression, we've done a lot of that. Creating an indicator variable model with interactions. We did that a lot yesterday. We could do more office hours tomorrow on this. Let me know where you're stuck. Oh my gosh, Tennessee basketball transfer portal. What is going on? Why'd that just pop up? Let's head to the main screen. Okay, it's time for some 201. Got a good bit. Got like 25 minutes of BAS 320 right there. I like it. Pew Research. Daryl's right there, ready. Let's do it. Oh, like that. Where is it? For yesterday's lecture up? Yeah, let me do that really quick. Yesterday's lecture. And yesterday was a really great lecture. Really good stuff. Not that you're bad. I have to manually post every lecture. I love it. It's so good. I have to go to everything. Wrong. It's like I forgot how to do this. Everything, there we go. And okay, that's this morning. I was like, when did I teach this morning? Okay, I'm posting this morning's 474 because I have people who need that one too. And then 207. I'm just gonna go ahead and post everything. Thank you, Naram, for checking these out. One time I posted to wrong class, people were like, Brian, I think we're not in this class. And I was like, oh. And then 320 from yesterday. Narav, it'll be up in just a second. I smell some lunch. And there you go. It is currently up. Let's do that Pew Research question here. Pew Research. Here we go. You're welcome, Rob. Thank you for asking. Pew Research randomly polled 218 in 2018 polled people. They polled 1,058, and they found this percent reported they were online. So let's look at this question. I believe, is this the one you're doing right here? Because sometimes they can look very similar. Is this correct, Daryl? Let me know, and we'll do this one, or we'll do the similar version. I'm going to take the note on it as we talk. Stat 201. And my chapter 13. MyPearson. And this is Pew Research in 2018. Okay. What does P hat mean? Just tell me what it means in notation. It is the what? 2 words. P hat, because then it'll basically give us the answer. P hat is the what? We have this note if you don't know it. If we say P hat, we're talking about the what? Take a guess if you don't know. I'll throw some points. P hat is close. P hat, and we'll throw some points right here. It is the sample proportion. You might be thinking of mu P hat. Mu P hat is a different concept. When we have P hat, I'm pulling up the formula sheet for the test. P hat is the sample proportion, and mu P hat is the mean for the distribution of the sample proportion. So the formula sheet right here is very key. And we also see it in the notes right here where P hat is listed. P hat is found by X over N, which is the number of successes over the number of trials. And it's just the sample proportion right here. So P hat, it's like if you have 20 friends and 8 own dogs, 8 out of 20 is 0.4. So P hat stands for the sample proportion. Now, mu P hat is the expected sample proportion, which is equal to P. That's the truth right there. What we expect to see in the sample is the truth. So mu P hat is expected sample proportion. Does that make sense, Daryl? Like, I think you were thinking of the mean, where mu P hat is the mean for the distribution of the sample proportion. Yeah. So you're on the right track. Like, and it's the mean for the distribution of the sample proportion. So very importantly, though, P hat is the sample proportion, which means that this means 0.4 or 44.6% of the teens sampled said they were online constantly. This is their best estimate of the truth. So this is their best estimate of the truth. That is their best estimate of truth. The standard error formula is just using P hats instead of P. So this is very similar to our equation right here, P times Q over N square root, P times Q over N square root. So we use P hat times Q hat over N square root is equal to the standard error of P hat. And this is very similar to P times Q over N square root, which is equal to the standard deviation of P hat. And it's just when you don't use the truth, you get what is called a standard error. So all we're going to do is plug in the values. It's going to be very close to this. I'm going to write out an approximation. It's about 0.45. Now, how am I getting 0.55 right here, Daryl? I'm putting in estimates based on the question. I'll put in the exact numbers shortly. And the amount of people sampled was 1058. How am I getting this 0.55 right there? If the question said 45%. Correct. P hat is the best guess of P. Because the sample is your best guess of the truth. Yeah. P hat wouldn't be the best guess of P hat because P hat is P hat. So P hat, the sample gives us our best guess of the truth. Like, you're like, well, I saw this in a sample. It's my best guess of the truth of what I would see in a population. So how are we getting this 0.55 right there? How in the world did I find this 0.55 here? Like, how did I find... Yeah, exactly. 1 minus P hat, or it's... I like the way you wrote it right there, Dale, perfectly. Doesn't matter if it's P hat or Q hat, or P or Q. They're complements of each other no matter what. So we take the value, whatever it gives us up there, and it's 0.446. So 0.446 times 0.554 divided by, I think I've done this correctly, 1058, and square root, and there it is right there. So now we round to 5 decimals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the standard error is your best guess of the true standard deviation. The standard error is the best estimate of the true standard deviation for a sample of this size. Because remember, we did that in the equation. We divided by the sample size. And we just do P times Q over N square root. If we don't know P and Q, then we use P hat. There we go. 100 on the question. How's that looking, Daryl? We can do another one. We can get a lot of these done. They're not that hard when you know the tricks for them. It's mainly just knowing notation. If you know notation and how to use the formula sheet, one of the easier chapters. If you don't know the notation of the formula sheet, this chapter is impossible. If you're like, and don't worry, it takes practice to be like, wait, p hat, mu p hat. Like I had someone being like, wait, there's like 3 of those. I'm like, yeah. For a project Stacy plans on sampling, let's find out. Let's find out what Stacy plans on sampling. Yeah, don't worry, that's a good one, check. Okay. So for her projects, check them all. Check all the questions. Get them all right. So for her project, stat 201. For her project. Might be. So she gets a random sample of 30 students who plan to go to Florida. She guesses that about 15% of her class goes. Is it reasonable to use the normal model? And we were talking about this during class, and I think Daryl's already got it, because you have to have a random sample. So it is a random sample, so we're good there. So it's not going to be, we figured out it's not this answer yet, because it is a random sample. This doesn't apply, nothing to do with quantitative data. This is just, has nothing to do with the question. Nearly normal is not part of this chapter, so we only have 2 answers left. Either we're going to have problems with less than 10%, or we have problems with 10% condition, or we have problems with success failure. So the success failure condition states that you need at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. So with only a 15% success rate, you would expect 4.5 successes. And right here, you can see the 4.5 successes, and it's not quite normal. Now, if we had had a higher success rate, it would be more normal, and we could use the normal methods in this chapter. And you see it start to normalize right there. If you have too few successes or too few failures, the curve doesn't look normal. How many successes do you need? At least 10 successes and at least 10 failures. And Daryl's done it too. Look at what Daryl's checking right there. What Daryl's doing, and excellent work, Daryl, is Daryl's checking the notation for this problem. So you have to do the following. We'll show it in our notes. When checking the success failure condition, you have to find N, P, and Q. So N is the amount she samples. P is the success rate. Q is 1 minus the success rate. Now you only have to check the smaller of NP and NQ. So NP needs to be greater than or equal to 10. Well, NP is 30 out of the 15% expected, which is equal to 4.5%, or 4.5 students. It's not a percent anymore, it's the amount of students, which is less than 10, so we fail it. We also have to assume that she has more than 300 students in her class, because if we want to check the the 10% condition, we have to find, I'll do that in a different color right here. For the 10% condition, we find N and capital N, and is N over capital N less than 10%. If it's exactly equal, we don't do that, but do we sample less than 10% of the population? Please check out notes from our class today where we went in and did a lot of details on these conditions. I spent a lot of time today talking about these conditions and how to check each one. So you can see the notes right there. Randomization is checked by the question stating it, or we can easily assume it. The 10% condition is checked by finding N and capital N, sample size and population size. We see if it's less than 10%, we have an example where we fail it down below. And then the next one is checked by finding N, P, and Q. And once you find those, you see if NP and NQ are greater than or equal to 10. This is another time where we fail it because this was equal to 1 right here, and we didn't have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. We did have at least 10 failures, and the amount of successes and failures have to add up to 1. So know how to check these conditions. Daryl, you've done it correctly. That looks right to me. So we did not meet at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures, and you've done it. Throw another one on the screen, Daryl. That was a really good review of conditions. And I mean, they're pretty easy once you memorize them. Random, 10%, pause, because they'll be different on different chapters. Success failures. The proportion of adult women, I like this one right here, because I pretend we're like an alien and we come in and we do not know what proportion there are. Okay, the proportion of adult women. I think that's an earlier question. We should be able to do quite a few more. I'm doing a thing called diet bet. I had to lose like 2 pounds yesterday. So I just like didn't eat a lot, but that's someone hears that. Someone's hearing that and be like, "That's not dieting." It's like, well, okay, I've been like working out and dieting for like almost 100 days now, And like I've dropped, yeah, no, not 2 pounds. So not like literally, you don't lose 2 pounds of fat in a day, but I've gone down from like 204 to 182. So it was like a day ago I was at 184, but I had to weigh in at 182. So I was like, and I'd already eaten dinner and breakfast and everything. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just like gonna eat less. And I didn't like I didn't eat breakfast this morning when I got up. So I didn't go crazy. Like I wasn't like, I'm not gonna eat for 40. I mean, people fast, so it's like you can do that. But I've definitely dropped a lot of weight, and then like I can do way more. I'm doing more chin-ups than pull-ups. I don't know why. Next week I'm gonna do pull-ups, but I can do 3 sets of 5. Once I get to that 6th and 7th, I burn out on it. Like I got these calluses on my hand now. I don't think you can't even see my calluses. Calluses. I can't see them. Yeah, I don't know. It's when I got the pull-up bar, I was like, I'm gonna do like 10 of these, and I did like 2, and I was like, this is tough. I can't do anymore. But I've had the pull-up bar for almost 2 months now, and it's gotten a lot better. It's like, I'll do 10 pull-ups. No, I'm not doing 10 pull-ups. I think we overestimate what we can do when we first get like an exercise thing. Okay, here we go. Let me look at the timestamp. We're good to go. Re-timestamping on this. Here we go. The proportion of adult women is approximately 51%. Let's pretend it actually is. A marketing survey telephones 460 people at random. Fill out the information below. So, what do we need to do? Yeah, they are. Wait, why are chin-ups easier? Chin-ups what do we need to do? I want to do a muscle up. That was actually my goal with the bar. Everyone's like, if you can do 10 pull-ups, you can do a muscle up. And I'm like, the movement from there to there is just like the tough part. Like you get here, and then it's like you gotta like it's just I don't know, it's a different movement. It's a movement I'm not strong at right now, apparently. What do we need to do to solve this problem? How do we do it? Leo knows.
Notation,
How are
brother.
we solving this problem? How are we solving it? What are we doing? Oh, I need to do more pull-ups now. I'm probably just go crazy on my biceps. Pull-ups are probably more lats and stuff. Lats and back. I think I've seen the charts on it. You're right, Daryl. I get more lats and back out of it. What do I need to do? How am I going to solve this? I'm stuck. I have no idea what to do on this question.
Notation,
What should I
brother.
do? It's always hints from students of the past. Yeah, I think you got it right here. So that and that need to be marked. So whenever you get a question on the test, because remember, think about when you're doing these, think about how would you do it on a test? You need to mark your notation, brother. Notation, brother. That was Leo who said that all the time in class. He'd say, notation, brother. So P equals 0.51. Okay, what notation am I missing on the screen right now? What notation am I missing? There's one more thing I can get for free because I found P. So every time you find P, you're like, Q. Q is 1 minus P, and these should add up to 1. Just make sure they add up to 1. You've done your math correctly if so. 1 minus P, 1 minus 0.51, Q. So now we need to figure out what proportion would you expect. Notice how this says expected proportion in a sample. So that is going to be mu P hat equals P. And that means expected sample proportion. And this wrong color. That is expected sample proportion, the phrase. So what's the answer to the first question? What is the math answer to the first question? Like, what should I put in this blank over here? Well, the answer is literally this. I mean, yes, it's 0.51. There it is. What is the standard deviation? Well, that comes from the formula sheet, standard deviation of P hat. And if you notice the way it reads, it literally says the standard deviation, which is this is the standard deviation for the sampling distribution of the sample proportion. I wish it fully said that. It should say the sampling distribution of the sample proportion, but it's like, what is the standard deviation for the sample proportions we would expect to see? So now we have to plug into the formula P times Q over N square root. And so we simply plug in, Is this looking easier, Daryl? Like, it's a lot of math. Oh, I went off the screen. It's not easy when you go off the screen. And it's not easy to be me. I don't sing. There you go. And 460. Notice how the standard deviation gets smaller. Yeah, exactly. P times Q over n square root. The standard deviation gets smaller as n increases. The mean doesn't. There's problems like that state those things. So we'll just plug this in right here. P times Q over n square root. There we go. And we got square rooted. That is the most common mistake not to square root it. 0.0233. And then how many women on average would you expect to see? This is actually NP, which is equal to the expected amount of successes, because it's saying if we have this sample size and this proportion, what would we expect to see? It's like the burned cookies from your mom today. If you're in class, you know what I'm talking about. And so we take right here 460, times that by the 0.51. That's going to be 230 plus 4.6. I believe so. And that's going to be 2... Why'd I write a 3? 246. Rounded the nearest whole number. 235. And once again, just make sure to times the numbers right there. So 0233. 0233. Okay. Running through my memory the answers again. Yeah. Try to keep. I try to keep my memory fresh. I try to remember things and memorize things and think through it. Helps. Let's do another, Daryl. Let's do it. I think these questions are fun. We do the easy peasy questions. There's 3 of these. Easy multiple choice. Here, I'll do the easy multiple choice while you find one, Daryl. We'll write here easy multiple choice questions. Easy multiple choice theory questions. Oh, let's do that one. That one's a tougher one. Easy multiple choice theory questions. As the sample size increases, the mean does what? So the best thing to do on this one is to write the equation. As the sample size increases, the mean of the sampling distribution does what? So Daryl, if you're looking at the mean of the distribution sample proportion, which is, that's what this is asking about, it's equal to P. So as sample size increases, what happens to this? Darius, good to see you. No worries, Darius. Glad to see you. 5,000 points. Thank you for just swinging by. No worries, and congrats on the internship. What happens if n is increasing? And do you see n in this equation? So what is going to happen if sample size increases to this value here? It's saying if on this side of the equation, as sample size increases over here, as n gets bigger, but there's no, it's just P. So what happens if n gets bigger to this? What happens to that if n gets bigger? Any thoughts? What happens if n gets bigger? Don't worry, just take a guess. Here's Rock will give you a hint.
It doesn't matter.
What happens if n gets bigger? Nothing. It's not in the equation. Does that make sense? Don't worry. We'll throw you some points right here. The reason nothing happens to it, it doesn't matter, right? Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
The sample size doesn't matter. Now, I think the next one might actually do it. So it doesn't change. It's not going to happen to it. It's just the same thing. Now, the next one I think is actually where we're going to see differences here. And this might, I'm glad we're doing these back to back, because then you might be like, oh, I see. So this one says the standard deviation for the sampling distribution, which is standard deviation of the sample distribution sample proportion, is equal to P times Q over N square root. So if N increases, which is this, if that gets bigger, what happens to this quantity? If we make the denominator bigger, what happens to the standard deviation? If we make the denominator bigger, what happens? Think, because you're dividing by a bigger number. You're dividing. Now this time it gets smaller. Does that make sense, Daryl? And so does the sample size change the mean? No, the mean's always the same. It's like your mom burns 10% of cookies. You expect her to burn 10% of cookies no matter how many cookies she makes. You could be like, what if she makes one cookie? Well, would you expect 10% of one cookies to be burned? But I know that's just a decimal, 0.1 of a cookie. I get what you're doing to me. But right here, the standard deviation gets smaller by a factor of n or square root of n or whatever, quantity square root of n. So it is going to get smaller as n increases. So definitely gets smaller right there. Got it right. Only one more multiple choice question right here. And we'll have done a lot of this, but we're going to do that next question you asked here in a second. This one's just a notation question. So if you know your notation,
Notation, brother.
notation, you can get this right. Okay, so let's do it. We're going to do this one probably quickly here so that we can get your question. Suppose 30% of people in your town are talking on their cell phones while driving. That is the true proportion. Anytime you find P, you find Q. Q is the complement of P. You stood by the street, watch out, and you watched 50 people drive by. That is sample size equals to 50. What proportion would you expect to see on their cell phones when it says expected sample proportion? Proportion you expect to see out of your 50. So that would be expected sample proportion. So this expected word, I should have highlighted that with just the color there so you know exactly what I'm getting at. This is where the sample proportion, I wish they said sample 2. They are talking from the sample. That reads expected sample proportion. Mu p hat equals p. Boom. So what's the answer, Daryl? Is it A, B, C, or D? What is the answer? I think Daryl's getting this down because you're saying, well, what percent would you expect to see speeding if you watch 50 people drive by? Yeah, I'd expect 30%. Because if 30% of people are on their cell phones or whatever, I'd expect to see 30%. There we go. That's it. Let's do that fundraising letter one, which is a longer one. It's a very short one right there. That one's a little bit longer too. We've done this during office hours. Here we go, fundraiser. Is it this one, Daryl? I think there's other versions of this. Give me a yes or no in the chat on this one as I mark the question. You're like, yep, that's it. It might be. Oh, I'll go fall asleep. I forgot my lunch today. I'm mad. I'll go home and get my lunch. That's it. Awesome. When they send out their fundraiser letters. Proportion of deed. Okay. Ooh. This one is actually a review of everything we've just been doing. The center of the histogram is the what? The center of the histogram is also where the what is. The center of the histogram is also where the what is of the data. Better way to view it right here. The mode is there, but what else? And the median, but I'm looking for the what? The mean. Does the mean change if sample size increases? Does the mean change if sample size is increasing? Does the center of this, should it change mathematically? Because mu p hat equals p. So the center of this histogram is not changing. So the center, which is the mean, is going to stay approximately the same. Now here's the thing. Remember when we talk about the at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures? If I increase the sample size, what do you notice happening to this distribution? As I increase the sample size, the distribution is becoming way more this, very clearly. Not so much. Kinda. Very much so. It's with higher sample sizes, we're more likely to have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. We have 60 successes here, and we only have 6 successes here. We only have 0.6 successes here, which is not nearly enough. We need at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures, and the distribution will be approximately normal. So as sample size gets larger, the distribution of that sampling distribution, of that sample proportion, will get more normal. The variability is just another term for think of 2 letters. Remember, we find the mean, we talk about if it's normal, and then we look at the variability by analyzing the what. We were just doing this a second ago. I'll try to bring out the formula sheet here. Do I not have the formula sheet? We do the mean and the standard deviation, which is variability. So we just said a moment ago that what happens to the standard deviation if we increase the sample size? If we increase the sample size, the standard deviation gets water. So if we increase the sample size, which is this down here, the standard deviation would be expected to get water. If we increase the standard deviation, it gets smaller because we're dividing by bigger numbers. So we would expect the standard deviation to decrease. And simulations show reality, so it appears to show reality. We can also view the simulations right here to see it. Notice how this is more spread out. It's across the whole range, where this one's a lot tighter with the higher sample size. So you can see here, I'm trying to get it all on one screen at one time. You can see, or we'll screenshot it too. Now we can make it real big. There we go. You can see that this is a big range, and this is a smaller range. Like it takes up similar. Actually, look, the numbers even changed on the end of it. It takes up. I wish they didn't do that. I wish they kept it all in the same range. But you can see the values changed on the end, definitely indicating a smaller range. I wish they labeled where the middle was at. It'd be clearer to see. Might be hard to tell, but the middle is about here. The middle's about here. The middle's about here. On the ones of 15, it's easy to see. On this one, it's not so easy. Middle's about, it's very right skew at that point. But the middle stays about the same. So this is in the same spot-ish. And then the distribution does get more normal. And this is what these simulations show, where it's not normal. That's the wrong color. I want to go to a new one, a light purple. So not normal, kind of normal, still a little bit skewed, and pretty much normal. More normal. How's this looking right here? That as the sample size increases, the two things that change are it becomes more normal with a less variability. The one thing that doesn't change is the mean does not change. I think we got time for probably one more quick one. What should we do? We've basically covered a lot of these because they don't really change much. Distributions test scores. Let's look at that. We did that one during office hours. What is the standard deviation? Well, it has to be a decimal. We've almost done all of these. Oh my gosh. We can do all of them. Okay, we might actually do all of these. Okay. You have to find out where that last one was. I think I might just do all of them. Should we just do that right here? Just do every single one of these, and then everyone's like, oh, I can't do it. And it's like, no, you got this. So I tell people, I'm like, don't worry. Like, just believe. Why not? Let's do it. I think I got enough time. I'll do it. I might go a little quick. Okay. We got some test scores right here. The professor wants to predict the maximum test score and understand what the sample maximum is. She estimates the distribution of test scores, 39 different tests. The histogram shows a right skew distribution. Well, it didn't say that, but I saw that. Would the normal model be appropriate? No, it's not normal. It's right skewed. Can we use the 68, 95, 99.7 rule? No, that only applies to normal data. We talked about that earlier today. That was mentioned during class. Good stuff right there. And great job people getting it as quickly as I do. It's not normal. It's right skew. And you can only use the empirical rule, the 68, 95, 99.7, when it's normal data. This one we did earlier. It's just like, is it a repeat of question 1? It is literally a repeat of question 1 right here. So you might see me do this quickly. This is a repeat question of question 1. Or we could put, he'll put this right here, and then I'll do this very quickly right here. I marked it also at the start. So what does p hat mean? P hat is our best estimate of p. P hat is the sample proportion, what we saw in the sample. So p hat is that 48.84% of the sample. This is our best estimate of p. The standard error is p hat times q hat over n. So we go ahead right here, and there's p hat. 1 minus p hat is q hat. There's q hat, p hat times q hat over n. And the sample size of this. And then we square root. We drop in p hat times q hat over n. Check the earlier question for a slower walkthrough. 7 digits. What world are we living in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Round up. Of course, you got to round up. Explain what standard error means. It's our best guess of this true standard error. And it's based on the sample size of the following that should be correct. Where did I make the error? Is it seriously on this? Nope, that's right. Daryl, do you see what I did? 7 is insane. The standard error is the... Okay, what's the answer? Standard error is the best estimate of the standard deviation, not of the margin of error. The margin of error is for confidence intervals. I saw the 20.006 and talking about the sampling variation. I misread. It's not... Check the first one. I got it right, I swear. I got the first one right. Okay, one thing wrong. Oh, 2 more. Got to fly. This one is done during, watch this one during office hours because we do it. You can do it pretty quickly if you know the tricks. What's our sample rate? 83% successes. So let me see. That'd be 17% failures, 75. So we're going to pass at 75. So approximately normal, right skew, right skew. What is the variation? 5, 35, 20, 5, 35, 35, 35. I'm looking at the ranges down here at the bottom, 25, 20. So this is very large. Very large right here is larger than this. And then this was 35, which is between here and here. This is 35 was the range. And the last one was small, but not that small. Yeah, the range, Now the center, a trick for this one that doesn't always work, is the mean is where the center's at. So you can always pick the one with the mean, and you're usually right. Sometimes you have to really look at the histograms because it'll be on one of the borders. And then they also get tricky. This one is a tricky one. I do it very exactly during office hours. We might miss one. We did. It's going to be the bins over here where we made the mistake. So you have to go in, and the first one's going to be obvious. The next one, the center's at 70, 75, 80 to 85. That's what we wrote for that one. The next one is probably made a mistake on the last one, I would guess. This is to 70, 75, 80, and you're looking for the top peak. That is 82 to 85, which means it's got to be this last one when we made the error. Really? Really? No, it wasn't. Uh-oh. Where did we make the error? I don't think it's that one. 80. It's skewed right? Is it skewed right? Oh my God, Monster Man's gonna be so mad at me. Monster Man's gonna be so mad at me. Daryl, 5,000 points. Monster Man is gonna... He's Monster Man here. Look at this. And then we gotta go to some monsters. We got 1 minute. Monster Man is gonna... Daryl and Darius, this is sad times. What world are we living in where we don't even look for Monster Man? He's mad. He's like, what you doing, man? Right to the high, left to the low. Whatever way the Monster Man's tail goes. Right to the high, left to the low. Left to the low side. I think I did one last time on his right skew. Should have looked at that skewness of it. Right to the high, left to the low, whatever way the Monster Man's tail goes. And check out the previous one where there we go. And last one. Check out the previous one where I did more in depth. This one right here, 15% success rate. We run the NP-NQ on this, and we should be good at 75. So we run 15% success rate with 75 trials. We have at least 10, so there we go. And that would be because we have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. What are we doing? Oh, less than at least 10. Really? I can say it, I just can't click the right button. We have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures at 75. So that's all we're checking is there's at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. Do check out the notes here. I'm going so quick that I'm like, I'll do it. I'll get it done. You have to find NP and NQ, and you have to have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. We did a lot of questions on that today. Take your time, be slow, and be careful. I was like, I want at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. NP and Q are both greater than or equal to 10. Check the math, make sure it works. Know your notation. Notation, brother. That is the full thing. We can go over more in depth next time, but we did some nice and slow right there, and then we did some really quick. We haven't covered chapter 14 yet. It's kind of similar. But yeah, check out chapter 14. Let me know if you have questions. It's kind of similar, but it deals with the mean, not categorical, and that'll be the last chapter on the test. Until then, bye for now, everyone. Bye. We've almost got these new intros ready. We're almost there.
This has been going for like 20 hours. This ends now.